Hi, Team Flyer. How are you today? It's another Motivational Monday here for the Always Believer podcast. We have Cassandra with us all season long. Hi, Cassandra.
Buenos días.
Buenos días, buenos días, buenos días. ¿Cómo estás?
Muy bien. ¿Tú?
Estoy. Why? I was like, why am I speaking in Spanish first of all? And I hesitated. I'm like, wait, I know Spanish. I'm I'm doing well, my crazy self, being multilingual and just, trying not to sound so much like Sofia Vergara. Not Sofia Vergara because I like her. Gloria Pritchett, I also like the character, but kind of like the mix of the two languages, you know what I mean? Anyways, just being myself, apparently. Doing good.
Very good.
Happy that we get to enjoy life. That's how I feel lately. We get to enjoy life. And
Yeah, and we're moving into the summertime, kind of like late spring, going into summer. That's one of my favorite kind of transitions of the four seasons.
See, mine too. Mine too. I think I grew up very lucky, probably where I grew up because I really like spring. Not because my birthday's in spring, just in general, like you see everything blossom and everything's really nice and just it's the perfect kind of warm. And I love the beach and I love the summer, of course. But yeah, living in New England is definitely not that. My husband has a different whole take on this because he grew up here and it could like literally snow one day and the next day you could be in shorts. That happened to us at some point of April. And it was like that Tuesday we were in shorts and a t-shirt and it was decently warm. Maybe it was not super warm, but decently warm. And then that Friday there was like a snowstorm. And you're like, okay, New England. you know? So yeah, definitely. Anyways, talking about weather as always. It's always interesting though because I don't notice it until you move around, and because you've moved around a whole lot, you all probably also notice it.
Yes.
That was my biggest takeaway from the story. Not talking about the weather, but when you travel so much, like, oh wait, spring is different everywhere, or like summer or whatever, it's different everywhere.
I love all four seasons. Like, I actually really hope to enjoy them throughout life. Like, I do love going to really more of a one season place, but I just really love the transitions between seasons, and I like to enjoy all four of them every year.
I do too. And we're still trying to find our quote unquote ideal place, even though we both enjoyed Barcelona for the city it is and the weather. Like that's a big thing for us, of course. Even though he loves the rain and the snow, he understands how beautiful like the heat is. And it's not that hot. It's hot, don't get me wrong, but it's not like, the Caribbean hot or something or other. Um like winter you're wearing boots and it's the coat. So it's that nice of like what you just said. You feel all four seasons. And I usually don't like talking about something as mundane as the weather, but then you also find out a lot about people's personality sometimes about like, no, I prefer like Miami. It was like, like the best it's winter and you can still go to the beach, and stuff like that. Um Going on today's quote. Let's start with today's quote, of course. And it is the hallmark of excellent. Sorry, let me go back a little bit. The hallmark of excellence, the taste of greatness is consistency, by your favorite John Maxwell.
Oh, John, you just can't go through an entire cycle of Motivational Mondays without a John Maxwell in the bunch.
Exactly. I think we just put him once this season or maybe twice, I don't know, compared to the last one. But and this one was a tongue twister for me. I was like, wait, what is it supposed to mean? This sounds really deep. So please tell us your thoughts about your favorite author.
Well,
Well, this quote, not your favorite author, but your
well, consistency, consistency, consistency. That is a word for the ages. It's
mm-hmm.
kind of like more of a word that you're not really focused on, but I do, I say like if you want to get stuff done, like you need to be focusing on things and the task in hand and like what needs to get done ad nauseum. I think that is that Latin. I don't even know.
I think so.
But I also think of this because there was another quote that I was going to put in the bunch of these Motivational Mondays, and then I decided not to. And I don't remember it word for word, but one of the things is one of the quotes that I remember reading was about, have leniency with others, but definitely be strict with yourself. As in, so not strict to the point of, like, when I say that, I actually mean like hold yourself to a high standard. And like if you want to move mountains, like you have to practice that every day and you have to do things every day to be able to build yourself up to that level of being able to do that. And I think the the focus of like being very consistent is really important. I actually follow Street Parking, which is this woman who basically started a home gym out of her garage and like made it into a huge community of people, and it's focused for women that have children and that can't get to a gym every day, or women that are postpartum, so then they're trying to get back into shape. But like there's ways that you have to do that, because you can't just jump into things no matter how much you want to, even if you were doing that before, because like your body's very different. And she preaches consistency, consistency, consistency. She's like, I am doing all the same things I've been doing year after year after year, and it's no different. Like, there's no fads, there's no this, there's no that. Like, it's all nutrition and working out and working out hard. And I'm saying that in this space because, like, that's the level that I'm talking about of, when you want to do something really big, the only way to get there is by consistently, like, putting your mind to it, making it a major focus. So if you want to do something big and then after 2 days, you're like, like, I don't want to focus on that as much. Well, okay. So if that's not your priority, you're probably not going to be able to do that in the future. So like you have to be very consistent with your intentions.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. To repeat it 3 times, like the word consistency. I love that word a lot. I live I live my life by it, probably to the biggest extent possible. Well, that and consistency and discipline. I feel like that's what you need a lot, which that's kind of ties into the second quote that you were talking about, of course. Discipline with yourself. Not super strict, because you're allowed breaks, but within those breaks, you have consistency at the same time to make sure you take those breaks once every X amount of days, for example. Um, it takes a lot of work to do anything, not only to, have the body of your dreams, which whatever size, shape you want it, of course, start a business in the middle of a pandemic in your room on top of your bed, without going any further, really. It's not easy waking up every day at 5, 6 in the morning, making sure you have tasks to do, make sure you complete those tasks, and making sure that you find other ways to make sure you reach to more people and do more things, get more connections. And then I sometimes I get that a little too much, and it's like, oh, you make it look so easy, or like it's so easy, and it's like it's so easy, it's so easy. And I'm like, excuse you, where have you been? Usually there's like a new follower or someone who's not really been following me or something like that. Because if you do follow me, you understand, you really see the hard work behind it and all the in-betweens. But it's like, no, it's consistency. It's every single day putting something in. And that can be something for your business once again. But in order for your business to work, that day you might have a break, or that day you're like, you know what, I'd rather go on a walk first. Or right after you finish a meeting, let me go and take that walk before I continue work, because that's going to get to my end goal, so on and so forth. So I I love it, because that's how I get things done, and I know you, and that's how you get things done, and we get a lot of things done. That kind of, I remember like our last week's quote with don't let the day run you. It's like you run the day, and it kind of like reminded me a little bit of that consistency of making sure you get that list, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah.
And also, like, something to add is, so when I say be strict with yourself, I'm also talking about, like, so if you're a leader in a group of people at work or whatever your focus is, like, if you have, meetings and you have things, like, you need to be the one that's like showing up early, that's getting everything ready, like, because you're a leader. So how can you expect people that work for you to do those things, like, if you're not willing to do them yourself? And that's like where I'm always like looking at myself, and it's like, from my perspective, like, am I doing all the things I need to do and setting the intentions I need to, that I can hold people like, and I can be lenient with them, but like, I want them to see that I'm very serious and I'm very motivated and I want to get stuff done. So like, I don't want them to be, because in the military, for example, like when you're on a ship, like your actions are speaking to all the things that are happening. So if you're the one who is a leader, and then you're just like sitting around and like not helping, or you're just ordering everyone to do everything and yelling, like that is what people are seeing. So there's like a very fine line. And like when you are trying to basically have a hallmark of excellence, I think that there is a balance between being a leader and then also like making sure that you are the one setting the intention and being consistent, so that everyone wants to follow you, because they're like, oh, like this person is reliable. They are always on time. They are always thinking outside the box about like what's going on and how they can make it better. And that's what I want to do, because I want to follow in their example. And I think that's like where I also look at this quote, because the taste of greatness is consistency. And I think that's can also be reliability. I think that can be like just putting your focus and intention, and then letting everybody know that like you're going to be there and you're going to be reliable and you are consistent. So like you're not going to expect less. Like you want to expect the best, because you want everyone else to be at that level.
Preach. You got to set that example, and even if you're not a leader from your company, a group, etc., be your own leader. How can you expect someone to give you something if you don't do the same thing even for yourself, kind of deal? But even going a little bit away from that, like we were saying with your example, which I really appreciate, is everything you do is a reflection of you. And one of my early lessons that I was taught, I think when I was a teenager, is you got to go all in. If you really want something, you got to go all in. No one's going to do the work for you. No one's going to put in the hours like you are. No one's going to hand it to you, essentially speaking. And I really, really think that's a fundamental lesson to learn at a young age, because ever since then, there's a lot of times, and I know we said this in the past in the previous Motivational Mondays, if it's not a hell yes, it's an F no. So everything that you do should be resemble a hell yes. And if you are a leader, if you are doing something big, of course, be there on time and be there and do all the things like, what you were saying, Cassandra, of course. And I really, really do abide by that a whole lot. I kind of lost track of my thoughts going through that because I was really just in tune to what you were saying, to be honest. It's what happens sometimes with Motivational Mondays. I get really in tune to what you're saying. I'm like, wait, what am I supposed to say again? Like, can we rewind you right now? We're like, no, we can't. We're recording. But you know what I mean.
Yeah. And I do think that it's just like when we talk about consistency, or like when I think about it for myself, I definitely want to be setting an example at all times, no matter where I am. Like, even if I'm aggravated, annoyed, like in a bad mood, I don't want to let those three things like influence strangers on like their perception of me. Now, it's not always possible. Like sometimes you're just in a mood of moods, so like you're gonna dictate the aura. But I don't know, like I look at consistency as like even that, like even going out into the world on a daily basis, like I want to be consistent with myself and rein in my feelings, and make sure that I'm always projecting like what I'm striving to be, which is,
Exactly.
yeah.
I kind of remember where I was going before as well. You said something. It's more of what you're saying. Another example that I always love to use is parenthood. Once again, not that I'm a mom just yet, but I've been a foster mom. I've done a bunch of things with kids. I've been an au pair. I've been a teacher for 10 plus years. My goodness, so on and so forth. And I also did a bunch of college courses on educational learning, early teaching, and childhood and whatnot. And I love the Montessori method, for example. Long story short of that little summary is um, they're sponges, obviously. So they're going to react the same way that you react. And it's insane to think about, but you just see that copy paste reaction automatically. So a lot of the times when I'm, learning these new methods for Montessori, kind of reteaching myself and making sure that I have them like self-taught more or less for the future moments, I see a lot of parents be like, I don't know, another sample, for example, my 2-year-old, she broke a plate the other day by accident because she was just moving it too much. And instead of yelling at her, I told her, hey, it's okay. We all make mistakes. Let's just pick it up and be more careful next time. Kind of the way you talk as well. Hence, leaving, like setting that example, as I'm trying to say, like leading by example. Because we can break plates at 34. We can break plates at 74. It's not uncommon, especially with me that I'm really clumsy and I have broken some plates in my life by accident, and not out of rage, just kind of like, oops. Same goes. I was seeing another mom, for example. She has 2 teenagers, and because of COVID and because it was quarantine time, it was right before school started back up again. He got mixed up the dates. He thought he started like one Monday, and he actually started the following Monday to go back to school because that's what they're trying to do and whatnot. So they get to the school, and it was like an hour away or something, and they had to do a bunch of errands, blah, 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 and it was closed. No one was there. And the mom was like, are you sure it's today? And he felt so bad. It's like, oh no, mom, it's next week. And the mom goes, instead of yelling at you, it's absolutely fine. Why? Because I make mistakes sometimes. How many times have I gone to a doctor's appointment at the wrong time? How many times have I gone to a nail appointment at the wrong time? So once again, that consistency of leading by example of saying, hey, it's okay. We all make mistakes because we all have those dates, or we can be the moods of moods, like you just said, leading by example, and then consistency from that, of course.
Yeah, and like to kind of build on that, so like the hallmark of excellence is the taste of grace, and the taste of greatness is consistency. So like if you want to get to that high level position, or like, so we're talking about big goals or big ideas and dreams, and that is where you have to like look at, okay, how, like, what do I need to do to get to that level, and how do I project like to make that happen. And not everyone is going to get there, but along the way, even if you don't get to that goal, like that high level, you've already like started to transform into someone who is like more focused, more reliable, more, consistent, like going to be there. And I think that says a lot already. And goals change too, because like some of these big ideas can take years to achieve, if ever. I just was reading the book Eat a Peach by David Chang, and he's a Korean born. And so basically, he's kind of like one of the innovators of kind of mainstream Asian food in today's culture of the United States. And so he opened up a restaurant called Momofuku, and then he opened up Sambar, and he opened up actually quite a few different ones. And the book is kind of a memoir of him becoming a great chef and getting some of the accolades that comes with. And I do think that it's like funny because when I did read the book, every time I read a book about chefs, it's like all the same. Like it's just like consistently like they're just beat down and they're doing 20 plus hours because that's what you have to do to be a great chef. And so that's like a very consistent profession. Like if you're in it for the long haul, like you are in it. Like you're either in it or you're not in it. And some people, he talks about like some people are in it and then they realize, but family is more important. So like it's not that you're taking away from the moments of excellence, because you were a chef essentially, but then you realize like that your values have changed. And he had to be very consistent, and there was like quite a few things that came together for him to be as successful as he was, because ramen shops hadn't been a mainstream thing previously. So like being able to open up something in New York City that kind of was like the new and upcoming thing, like some people didn't like that, but like he was consistent, he stuck with it, he put his head down and he got to work. And there were other reasons why he got to the status that he did, but the most basic principle of, I don't have money, but I believe in this enough that I'm gonna get a loan and I'm gonna open the shop in New York City and I'm gonna do it. Like that is on par with like the consistent effort of like what you have to do to get to the top.
You just reminded me talking about chefs, and they're more up your alley than mine, without a doubt, because I know how
Well,
much
I
you
don't
love
know.
cooking. But you love cooking, though. I don't really mind cooking, but you love it. Um, I'm gonna plug in one of my favorite shows. Actually, it's called Hentified. It's on Netflix. Their season 1, season 2 is coming, and it's about a restaurant. That's what you reminded me of. And it's an old school restaurant from a family of Mexicans, and it's such a great show. And one of the kids, so I don't spoil much, he studied to be a chef. So they also kind of have that storyline. And they talk about that consistency and how to make it as a chef, and like what to do in this restaurant, how to save this restaurant, etc. Apart from being talking about immigration and about LGTB plus and all these sorts of cool things. Hentified on Netflix. It's a really good show, and it lines up with what you were saying, because you can kind of see, even through the first season, a spark of what being a chef slash owning a restaurant is, because that's what the whole show literally is about for the main part. And I'm so excited season 2 is coming. It's been filmed. It's filmed since like mid-April or something like that. And yeah. It's like, yeah, finally. But definitely.
Well, when I read books about chefs, I mean, that's just on par with kind of like the military life as well. Like, I do think there's a lot of similarities. I mean, it's very different, but like
Mm,
the working under people and then having to give your whole day, like, and evening. And, he says in there, he's like, the one where he was working the one day, it was like they would throw stuff away and make you start over just for the sake of like not letting you have a life outside the job, because they want it to be very clear like that being a chef is the job forever, that's life. And I don't agree like fully,
yeah,
because I have found that like balance in life is way more important than giving it all professionally to one thing.
completely agree.
But I've been in that lifestyle for many years. And so I understand like where they're coming from. I just have found that like for me, it's not going to work. Like it wouldn't work for me because I need balance in my life and I don't want to give it all. But so
I agree. As a businesswoman, as an entrepreneur, you know me, you're a good friend of mine. We're good friends, period. I work a lot. It's a lot of hours to put in, especially when you're starting a business, and even if it's, when it's a multi-success business, like, um, you need to put in the hours, and I believe balance is key. It
yeah,
is. So with everything, once again, when we say excellence, when we say consistency, I'm not the biggest example, and that's what I'm trying to do. That's literally what we talked about before we started recording, taking those needed breaks, because we need to recharge. I keep preaching it to everybody and I'm not doing it. And I need to change that kind of like mental state so I can do my job better. And what do I need to do? Consistency in taking breaks. Make sure, much like you're a child, and not because I'm childish by any means, but you have those half an hour recess breaks, you have that lunch break. It's like, why don't you do that? But when you get so caught up in that lifestyle as a chef, as a military, as an entrepreneur, anyone who's a businesswoman or man, obviously, can understand that's like, there's always things to do. You continue. Like, oh, it's been, 10 hours, 12 hours. And did I eat something today? Okay. So once again, reel it in, take breaks. But yeah, balance is key. And with that is also consistency, because if you know balance is key, you're going to do whatever it takes. I think my last fun fact, now that I think about it, which I love this fun fact, we talked about, I forgot if it was like calendars or taking notes and like, making lists and all that stuff. There we go in the last episode, right? My journal that's personalized for me, because I love personalized things. I actually have different journal. No, it's not a journal, sorry. what's it called? An agenda. Sorry. I have different agendas for different things, but my very personal one, for my own personal growth, I have one that has, it's weekly, and there are spaces and whatnot. Anyways, there's two things on that I freaking adore. One is a mood tracker. So there's a picture right at the beginning of the month, and it's a picture of a sunflower, for example, or a picture of the beach, or a picture like a really pretty picture. And then you have all the dates. So like you color in what you're feeling, because on the bottom you have a key. So one I love coloring into is really useful to see what part of your month and like what did you do that day. But also every week I have the same categories of things that I make sure that I did for fun though. Like it could be reading, make sure I drank all my water, make sure I exercised, make sure I had me time, make sure I played with my creatures, make sure that, I did XYZ. And I love that system because that makes me see what I really did and be really strict with it and really consistent with it. And then I understand when I'm too stressed or anxious or burnt out. I'm like, oh, I didn't, play with my cat this week that much, or I didn't really drink that much water that I should have, or I didn't, actually read that book that I really wanted to read, so on and so forth. So useful tips for this kind
Very,
of
I definitely
balance.
like that a lot. I definitely like journals that kind of help track in a cool way, like different things.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly. You can always fill it in with yours, and you can also make your own personalized one. Of course, one of my good friends made it for me, and yeah, like it's super useful. You can start any time of year. I mean, don't wait till 2022.
yeah.
Start next month.
Sure.
Start next week. Doesn't matter. Just start.
And Ariadna, what is today's quote?
Today's quote is and was the hallmark of excellence, the taste of greatness is consistency by John Maxwell.
Gotta love him.
Exactly. Tell us your thoughts. Tell us thoughts how you maintain consistency. What are you consistent with? Is it going for walks every Sunday? Is it reading books to your children every day? What are you consistent with every single day? And we'll take it from there. So we'll see you all very, very soon. As always, take care for this beautiful week. And yeah, have a beautiful week, Team Flyer. Bye.